I'm sure you will get to take a lot out of this session. You will get to interact with each other, with our amazing speakers, and I take this privilege to welcome all of you to this wonderful session. So hello everyone, I'm Abhilasha Panwar. I work at the Ministry of Education as an education specialist. And I'm very, very happy to welcome all of you to the session, the Rainbow Experience, Thematic STEAM Education to Catalyze SDGs. And we have an amazing panel of speakers. You will get to hear from them soon. So welcome on board and let's start the session. All right, so with some housekeeping rules, please keep your video on if possible. Show your name and company, unmute when you speak. If you have technical questions, contact us, let us know, or you can contact Zoom support and enjoy. So here we are with the session agenda. I'll just quickly skim through the points, what we are going to touch a bit and where we are going to dive deeper. I'll let you know about that. So we'll have a quick session introduction, which will be done by me. And then we have speakers. They'll be introducing themselves, then the problem. So it's a problem solving session. So we are all here to look for a problem in the education. And we have all seen it around us because most of you are into education and you have been facing a lot of problems in your daily teaching. So this is the problem I want to know from you about what do you face on a daily basis in your classroom and in your school. And then the Rainbow Experience, we'll talk a bit about it. Then we have our speakers giving you some practical tools for STEAM education. And this is the best part of this session, which I'm sure you're all looking forward to it. Then we have recommendations from our speakers and from all of you and the session outcomes. So this is a bit about the session agenda. And let's start. So the world is changing really fast. I mean, faster than ever before. And you've seen in the Catalyst video, people have come and joined this movement to tackle those changes. We know our future is changing really fast. It's going to be very, very different. We will have unprecedented challenges. And also we will have some complex problems which we don't know yet. But the good news is that with those challenges and those problems comes the possibilities and the opportunities which we can work together and we can all collaborate together and solve those challenges. So we at Catalyst 2030, we are passionate about seizing those opportunities and work together, collaborate together to catalyze sustainable development goals through transformation in education. We believe that education can and must contribute to a new global sustainable development perspective. So welcome again, welcome on board. And I really wish that all of you take something out of this session that you can try in your classrooms, in your schools, and even at your home if you are a parent. Now we have an amazing panel, as I've already told you. So you would like to hear more from our speakers about their background, where they have come from, and a bit about their experience in education and what is their future plan. So I would like to invite Asha to talk a bit about herself.
Thank you, Abhilasha. That's a very, very lovely introduction, and so excited to hear what everyone's going to say today, and also to hear from some of in the chat from the attendees. So I'm Asha Murphy, and you can see on the slide that I'm the founder of Edify. That's a company that I started after I retired from teaching. My story starts actually from from when I was at university. I was doing a degree in behavioral science, but I was always interested in education, in teaching, in tutoring and all sorts of things. But I ended up in the public service. But it was when my children were young, I saw something was not right in the primary school system, especially with science. Science wasn't really taught so much in our schools. And rather than say, make a complaint or something, I thought, I'll do something about it, because I already had that passion for teaching. And I'd also created a game, on mathematical game. And I thought, okay, I'll be a teacher. And but because of my science background, they wanted me to be a high school teacher. But I said, no, I've got to do it in primary school. So, that was where I went. But the system, of course, wasn't quite there, ready for this person coming in and saying, "Hey, we're gonna do something different," and which is why a session like today is so good, because it empowers teachers to say, this is a system that works better. So then, but I still managed to do things within the classrooms that were different, and like push the boundaries a bit. But it got quite frustrating. And as soon as I was ready for retirement, I did. and then I started my company. And so before early on, I'd started my master's. And it was only after retirement that I actually finished it. So I actually finished my master's when I was in my 60s. So I'm very proud of that. And I focused on neuroeducation, because I was really interested in the science behind the learning. What is it, that makes children learn? What is it that all of us, and what happens in our brains? And so, in Edify, we've created programs very much on those lines. And I hope to tell you a little bit later about one of our programs. And so that's me in a nutshell. And I'll pass it on to Thelini, who's next on the page on the screen.
Hello, thank you, Asha. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. And thank you, Abhilasha, for your introduction as well. Hello, everyone. I'm Thelini, all the way from Sri Lanka. Good afternoon to you all. Yes, so many things when we have to talk about ourselves, yeah, and don't know where to start. I'm an educator. I'm a senior secondary school teacher, currently working in Sri Lanka, and I was teaching in Doha as well for 8 years, and came back to Sri Lanka, having the mind of doing something different to the field of education. So being in Sri Lanka, I was really enthusiastic and interested in some of the areas that I found that need solutions, which made me to focus myself towards sustainability focused STEM education. And I'm at the process of developing an informal program which focus on sustainability SDGs and integrating STEM into that, and deliver it to the school students to make a difference, actually. So along with that, I'm also planning to start my PhD, which that also going to help me in my program. And yeah, so want to make a big impact to the education in Sri Lanka, starting with a very small step. So yes, that's about me. So this is my journey, actually, and I'm going to share that my journey with you all. So thank you for having me. So I'll pass it to Surya. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Thelini, and thank you, Asha, and thanks a lot, Abhilasha, for that wonderful introduction. And I believe that it's going to be a very fruitful day for all of us. And talking about me, I am an educationalist. I have chosen to be an educationalist at the mid of my journey of my profession. I'm an engineer basically, and I've done my master's in electronics and communication engineering. And choosing to be as an educationist was the choice which I have made, and that was the right decision which I feel which I've made at the mid of my journey, my career journey. And I'm working as head of innovation at Global Indian International School in Abu Dhabi. And this is my 6th year running as the head of innovation. And as I said in the beginning, like this was my best decision to be, to convert myself into a teacher from an engineer profession, because when I converted myself into a teacher, I'm learning every day with my students. My learning never ends. So this is what I'm enjoying every day with my students and my teachers around. And throughout, when I was doing my master's, I was having that feeling that I should share whatever we have learned in an innovative way to the next generation. And every day when I was designing my projects for my students, this is what I am doing. I'm learning to make how, to get innovative educational strategies along with my students. And I'm enjoying my journey, and I would love to share my happy news, which I just received now, that I have been awarded as the best STEM teacher of the year by the University BITS Pilani. Just recently we received this award, and I'm very happy to share this. And this is my first platform where I'm sharing this happy news with you. I'm looking forward for the rest. Thank you, Abhilasha. I'm looking forward to have a very fruitful and, very a knowledge sharing platform over here with all the dignitaries. And yes, thank you and good luck to everyone.
Thank you, all the speakers. I mean, we get to hear so many inspiring stories from all of you. So it's a good start that we are all on the right platform. We are all here to learn from each other, exchange ideas, and to know what are the best practices into STEAM education, into different approaches to teaching and learning. But before we do that, let's see, where are we now? So we are here. So these visuals are kind of thought-provoking, I know. When you see these visuals, you think deep into the current situation of the education system. And they make us think a lot about what is the most critical issue with the current education system. We are all educators here. Some of us are parents, some are school leaders, but more or less, we want to look into the idea that what do we really want to change now? Is it the curriculum, the teaching and learning approaches, or the assessment, or everything? So I want all of you, all the participants, and even our speakers to just feel free to participate in the poll and to give us what do you think is, in your opinion, the most critical issue with the current education system. I know the system is a very big thing to change, and there are a lot of issues, underlying things we need to look into. But when we talk about your classrooms, your schools, what is one thing which you really feel is giving you troubles? The curriculum, the teaching and learning approaches, or the assessment? Or if you feel like choosing more than one, you're most welcome. So we want to look at the poll now. I think you can see my screen. So most of the participants, they feel teaching and learning approaches is the one which is giving them a real headache in their classroom, and they want to solve these issues. They want to have support from their school leaders, or maybe from the resources, external resources. So we need to really look deep into this kind of poll, and we need to empower our educators to give something what they are looking for. So thank you so much for participating in this poll and for letting us know what is the real issue. Yes, of course, the issue is everywhere, but where do we have to start working on and take those small steps? And then we can cover the whole picture and we can solve the other issues as well. So this is the problem. Now, if we go to the next slide, there's another visual. So I want you to have a look at this slide, and I want you to tell me, is this the teacher you are? Is this the teacher you see yourself in your classroom? I mean, if I talk about a traditional teaching, I see the sage on the stage, and it's a very traditional classroom where all the teaching is being done in silos, in boxes, And you are doing all your assessments, students' progress and the understanding you're assessing in boxes. So more or less you are doing, you're delivering your teaching in a very rigid way. So you're teaching in boxes, assessing your students in boxes, and you are not integrating subjects anyway. You are doing a very traditional form of teaching. And then one fine day, you give them a problem, a real world problem. And you ask your students, come on, think outside the box. I want you to solve this problem by thinking outside the box. So tell me, is it possible for a child to do that when the child was never trained to solve problems through your teaching? So you have not done teaching that way, but you want that kid to take your teaching, transfer that teaching, and solve some real world issues. How is it possible? I don't see any link. So there's a gap, and we all know that. So you can see in most of the schools, we teach the subjects as distinct disciplines. There's no cross-linking. I'm talking about most of the schools. I know some of the schools have been doing great in terms of integrated teaching and theme-based teaching and phenomenon teaching and so on. But again, we are looking for the majority of schools. They don't do that. So the students, they struggle to find connections between the subjects. So they fail to visualize the big picture. They can't imagine the big picture idea. They don't know what's happening in the real world because they cannot connect their classroom learning to the real world context, which is really very sad. Those children finally lack skills and attitudes to apply their knowledge to the real world problems solving. They have a lot of knowledge. You have given them a lot of facts and information, but are they able to transfer that knowledge to solve any kind of problem which comes in front of them? Finally, they cannot think outside the box, and we know that, and they cannot transfer this learning beyond the four walls of the classroom, which is really, really sad for us to witness this kind of generation we are raising. So this is the problem we all are facing. And I would just take a second and ask one of the speakers who can come on forward. Maybe Asha can throw some light on what exactly do you feel the problem with the education system or, the teaching and learning approaches?
Thanks, Abhilasha. No, this actually, the way you've displayed this, it actually shows, the process, and it highlights the flaws in the process in a sense. And I'm very much reminded about a time in my classroom, and how we plan our lessons so carefully, right? And everything is done, in this, from this to this time to this time, we'll do this, and then we'll do that, and then we'll do that. And so I was teaching a class on the relationship between perimeter and area. It was a maths class. And what you mentioned was about children having agency, right? So we're just having them as this, we're there and telling them what to do kind of thing with no agency. So this one girl put up a hand, and this is a girl who's normally very quiet, whatever. And she put up a hand and she said, does this apply to animals? Mm-hmm. Okay, so my initial thought is, and all the children started laughing, right? I thought, why is she disrupting? What's she doing this, And you think, be quiet, whatever, But something in me said, this is a child who doesn't normally say these things. She's spoken up for the first time. So let me ask her. So I said, what made you ask that question? Like in the sense of, eliciting something. And she goes, well, and when a child starts saying, well, there's a story coming up, right? So she goes, well, my parents have a farm, and we've had a drought, and they've got the animals, and they need to put them in the paddock, but they're struggling with how to put too many animals in a smaller amount of space. So then all the other children, because this is a lot of farming children in that school, and they will say, yeah, we have that same problem. And it was suddenly a real world thing. And so they're all now interested in looking how this maths that I was doing on the blackboard We had blackboards there, not whiteboards, and in those days. And then it became this real thing. How are we going to solve this? And yeah, I have this many animals and this, da, 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 da. And then I just left it to the class to do because they were going to take it up. They had it all sorted out. They were bringing the maths. Oh, miss, how do you do this? Oh, whatever. And there was it. I threw out my lesson plan and had the best lesson ever. And you know it's a good lesson when they go into the playground and they tell the other children about it. So that's what I mean about how, you know, you can just let the children have agency and wonders can happen. So yeah, I'll stop there.
I mean,
I get too excited.
Yes, that's pretty much like we need to focus on. So when we know the real problem and when educators like you know how to overcome those issues in the education, what we are facing, this is really amazing. So we are taking small steps, you know, in our context, and we are trying to fill up those gaps. I want to invite either Surya or Thelini, because I think Surya is the right person to ask this question because she's been teaching in the Indian curriculum, which is very rigorous. So how do you find the problem in the Indian education system in terms of, say, teaching and learning approaches? What is the problem exactly with it?
The problem, I will not say it as a problem, but it's a challenge actually for the teachers to make the Indian curriculum parents aware about, awareness has to be created to let their students to think like as if there is no box. This is what I suggest my parents to, it's not thinking out of the box. Let the students to think and work in such a way that there is no box around them. So that, like, you know, the applications that they can do in whatever topics that they can learn is infinite. But in CBSE curriculum, the thing is, when it comes to academic, including me as a parent, I have the tendency, we all have the tendency to first look at the marks, the academic marks that we are getting, instead of like, you know, what knowledge that the student is learning. He or she may not be good in, you know, getting the marks, but the student might be good in applying whatever the student has learned in the real life. So this is what, like, you know, the Indian parents, or including me, actually, I'm saying, we have to let our students to explore whatever they are thinking in their real life, so that once they finish their academic life, they can apply those skills, not even in getting a position in the society, but also in their personal life as well. So I understand that the main challenge which the Indian parents are facing is making themselves aware that marks is not just the only thing that we require amongst the students. It's the knowledge, whatever they are getting as a marks, in what way they are going to apply it, so that it becomes easier for the students not just to compete in academic, till grade 12, but also after grade 12.
Very true.
This is one challenge which I'm facing, which is the major challenge. And yes, so this is my, my suggestion as a CBSE parent and as a CBSE teacher as well.
Yes. I mean, I totally agree, because it's not about the final marks. It's about how the student is going to take this learning, or how the child is going to take the learning from your classroom and is going to use this learning in the real life. So that's what matters. And there's a good thing that parents are getting aware about these things, soft skills development, and, you know, social and emotional learning, and all the other aspects of teaching and learning, rather than just the formal ways of teaching and scoring marks. That is a good change I have seen in the parents nowadays. So this is a good thing for us educators to work towards this. A very quick one from you, Thelini. So what do you think? You have taught in diverse curriculum in Qatar, and you have taught in the British curriculum back in Sri Lanka. You have taught over there. What do you think is one problem, if you can quickly wrap it up, that you find the most critical issue with the education system?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much what I have to say, pretty much very similar to what Surya said. You know, we Asians, we are so worried about the marks. You know, that is the very first thing that parents get to see. You know, they communicate through those figures. So, but actually how we can bring that awareness to the parents, like marks are not only thing that you must look at, but there are so many other aspects that through education, your child is going to learn. Personally, for me, when I was in school, I mean, yes, we learned about so many subjects, but there are so many hidden curriculum developed us as a human being to be here. So that part is lacking right now in the education system, because it's a rat race. Like, the children are so behind these marks, and they're so worried when they lose couple of marks, and it's as if that it's going to be end of the world for them, because that is the pressure that has been given to the given by the parents to them. So this awareness, I mean, this is what one of the main areas that we need to focus. First, we need to bring that awareness to the parents, and we have to create that culture within their family that, okay, it's okay, darling. I mean, lose some marks, you have to make mistakes, fine, it's not end of your life, you can do better, you know, there are so many things you are learning from this. Focus on those soft skills, and you know, there are other things that which will develop your personality, but that part is lacking here, only focused on the marks and the content. As teachers also, we are so pressurized to finish the curriculum, the syllabus within that particular time, whether the child learns or not, you know, so many things are there. So I think the most important thing I feel is bringing the awareness to the parents. Okay, there is another side to the education, not only some marks, you know, that will not reflect your child's true ability. So this is my idea, my challenge.
Yes, this is amazing. I mean, here the parents are going to listen to your suggestion or your talk, and I really want the parents to look into their mindsets and try to bring slight changes. I know they do look for their kids' marks, and that's also important, but why not we keep a balance between marks and skills? So why don't we try to focus on both, rather than just giving importance to one of the thing, which is not going to work for their kids in the future, and we all know that. So here what I feel is that as parents and as educators, we need to look deeply into what we are teaching. Okay, that is something secondary to me now. So what the kids are getting, that is there. But how are we teaching, and why are we teaching? So we need to keep asking these questions as parents and as educator. So why is my kid taking this? Why do I teach this? Why does the kid learn this? And how is the kid going to learn? So what experiences can we give to our children through our teaching? What learning experience the kid can take when the kid is interacting with any real world phenomenon or anything? So those experiences matter a lot for the child's upbringing and for the child way of thinking. And we need to ask ourselves, how can I, as an educator, help children create those meaningful experiences? Because that's what will stay with them throughout their life, and they will be the lifelong learners if they have those experiences in the early childhood. So this is what I call rainbow experience. It's about the holistic and the meaningful learning, what we do through our way of teaching, that we connect the disciplines, that we connect different pedagogies, we connect different kinds of learning experiences within the classroom, and even beyond the classroom, through field trips or whatever the educators can do. And then the kid can take the whole idea and can develop a big picture. So if you are teaching your kid about the clouds, for example, you need to fill up into those bits and pieces and try to do as much as real world interaction with your kid, so the kid can understand, not just within the classroom showing them the books and then they read the text. That's not going to work. So think about how to create a rainbow experience for the children so that they can imagine and then they can visualize the big picture. Because when they can do that, they can connect their learning and they can transfer their learning to solve the real world issues. And that's the most important thing in teaching and learning. So thank you so much for being engaged and, for giving your input. And I really want audience to also just reply in the chat, like what do they think is the problem, and they can also interact with us. They have given a poll and we got their responses, but they can also write about their problems in their context and send us a message through chat. So I would take this opportunity now to invite Surya to come up with her tool, and we've been waiting for that tool from all of you. So we want all of you to come and share your tool, which you want to give it to audience, and they would like to benefit from your tools. So Surya, please welcome on board.
Thank you so much, Abhilasha. I feel like I'm going to a class and going to teach my students some lessons. So let me now share my screen. Yes. And in the first, question, I have seen that most of the, audience over here, including us, are educationists. So I believe that this presentation is going to help as teachers, though you are not a STEAM teacher or a STEM teacher. I believe that this is going to help everybody over here. And what I'm going to talk about is the STEAM curriculum, how we can plan or design a curriculum within our, main subject. If you're a math teacher, science teacher, English teacher, social studies teacher, how can you design, how can you integrate STEAM into your classrooms? That is what we term it as iSTEAM, which is integrated STEAM. And you can see a QR code, which is your feedback wall. You can scan the QR code. So as and when I go through the presentation, you can put your ideas, suggestions, feedbacks then and now in the feedback wall in every stages of my presentation. So I have included the QR code in different slides of my presentation for you to put your ideas. So without delaying much further, let me take my students to the rest of my class. And we will be carrying out this presentation in different stages or different steps, how we can design a STEAM curriculum in 5 different steps. So step 1 is to understand. The teachers also should understand what is STEAM, why we need STEAM in our academic subjects. What is the importance? What is the impact that the STEAM is going to give my students with the topics that I'm going to teach. So iSTEAM talks about integrated STEAM, which means you all will have a curriculum plan with the other subjects, a broad plan or the annual curriculum plan. So whatever topics you design for the annual curriculum plan for different subjects, you can integrate that subject with a STEAM activity involving technology and arts into those topics. That is what is called as STEAM integration or iSTEAM. And it mainly deals with transdisciplinary approach, where you will have 2 subjects with the real life problem. So 2 main subjects and connected with the real life problem is what iSTEAM talks about. And it will have meaningful experiences with real life connection, as I said in my introduction. And it will also facilitate the integration of various academic topics. So this will help you to understand the impact which is given throughout the marks which the student is gaining, as well as how applying those topics in real life. So that's the importance of iSTEAM, and that's what you have to understand about the STEAM integration. So the benefits of the integration of STEAM topics is you will be able to make your students to be creative, interdisciplinary or transdisciplinary. You will make your students flexible to think in a different way, or make the thought process in a flexible way. Yeah, relevant. It should be relevant to the learners. It should be inclusive within the classrooms. Hands-on activities, very important. Or there is no textbook learning or classroom learning. It's all hands-on activities, and the participations in that and the fun element. And what it is engaged at is, again, creativity, critical thinking skills. The curiosity of the students is what you are, developing. And the attitude of learning towards a subject, the approach that the students were learning in a subject before STEAM and after STEAM integration. Collaboration skills, you are collaborating different subjects so that in one point, different subjects can be integrated and collaborated. Confidence in various topics and the communication effectiveness. So these are the main advantages of integrating STEAM into your curriculum design. Now moving on, We will go to the second step, which is planning. Very important step where I'll be showing you a tool which you can use it for in your classrooms. Even if you are not a STEAM teacher, even if you are a parent, you can plan, you can have this tool as a planning equipment for designing a STEAM activity with your student, with your child, or with your class. So again, we have that, I have that QR code for the feedback wall. So this is one tool which through various researchers, I have developed this tool of, planning the curriculum or planning the STEAM program within the classrooms. So there are various set of criteria which we have developed, and this we have developed after so much of research, and it is working with my campus, and we are doing very well with the planning tool, and various criteria that we are following are listed on the left hand side, with a planned attribute, that is how we are, you have to ask yourself as a teacher, what are the challenges that you are going to address? What is the context that you are going to put it in your STEAM curriculum? What are the educational objectives or learning objectives? What content you are going to cover, and what are the materials that you have? And also you have if you have ICT, high-tech or low-tech tools, do you have that? And physical space, what is the physical space that you need to complete an activity? How mental space you have to create, what amount of mental space you have to create with the students? And classroom activities, what type of activities you can integrate with the topics, and also the STEAM integration. So once you plan, you also should have that reflection sheet which shows how well you are doing with every planning criteria. So if it is a super well planned one, you can have a smiley face on the super area, or if you're not well doing, you can use the last column. So this tool we are using for planning the STEAM activities. And the next step number 3, is the resources and support. So as I said, when you are integrating a STEAM, it's a hands-on activity class. So of course you should have a resource, resource elements. So there are 2 types of resource elements. One is the support element, and one is the resource element. The support is what I would suggest from my experience is, if you have a supporting hand with you for the STEAM lessons, it will really create a difference in your STEAM classes. How far you are doing, or how far you are completing your activities. Designing doesn't itself matter. How far you are completing the activities, or how far you are making the activities reach with your 30 students is what matters. So if you want to complete your activities with all the learning objectives reachable for all the students, you should have a support team with you. Also the resources. If you don't have high-tech materials with you, if you don't have an Apple classroom, don't worry, you can conduct STEAM classes with recycled materials as well, which I'm doing it. Every month we have recycled materials activity classes, and we are doing perfectly with the recycled material. If you have a cardboard box, a plastic bottle, a balloon, a rubber band, more than enough for you to conduct a STEAM activity. You don't even need to have a physical space or a dedicated space. So this is how it goes. And now the second last stage is the activity stage, design and activity. So this is as per your creativity, teachers. So how creative you are. Creativity cannot be taught. It should be within us. So how creative you are as per your knowledge from the subject, design an activity. I will show you my example as one of the activity. So this one is one activity, and I am directly showing you my lesson plan over here. This is an activity which for making a mini motor car. So it involved engineering, science, mathematical skills, and the physics, the topic physics. So these are the integration that we have done. And in our lesson plan, we have the description of the activity. We have the learning outcome, or we call it as learning objective. What are the space suggestions that we require, resources we require. Every activity will have a supporting link. We do a lot of research when we are designing an activity. So a supporting link, a digital link will be there, and some various competencies which we which we have to achieve in the class. Like, for example, competencies, knowledge, skills, and attitudes, and also some pictures related to that. So if you have a lesson plan like this, even if you are on leave, a teacher is on leave, the next teacher who's getting the substitution can conduct this activity. You don't have to have a pre-knowledge for this. With this lesson plan, with all the descriptions, the classes can be continued without any disturbances. So this is how the lesson plan formation happens. And moving ahead to the last step, which is my favorite step, to celebrate the success of the activity. After every class in my STEAM, I have a plenary, which we call it as plenary. I hope it is the same term in all the educational bodies. Plenary is a, like a dessert, like how we have enjoyed the entire meal when we have a meal. It's like a dessert for me, where we celebrate the success by asking more questions. How can we take the activity to the next level, or how can we complete a circle? So this is how I celebrate my dessert, and I enjoy my dessert a lot. I don't call it as plenary in my class. This is a very, professional term, but dessert is what I call, and we enjoy every dessert in the class by asking questions and getting more involved. Sometimes the mini motor can be developed into a programmed motor. So that's how the next level comes up as a success. So we celebrate every success criteria, and this is the tool that I use for my personal purpose, with all the criteria mentioned on the dimensions mentioned on the left-hand side, and how far I have achieved in my class. Have I been advanced in my class? I was intermediate, basic, or initial acquisition, or any additional comments required. So this is the tool that I am using for, as a success criteria for my for each activity. And it has challenges, context, literacy achieved, objectives achieved, materials that I have used, ICT tools, creativity skills that I have achieved in the class, speaking in public. There are certain activities which require linguistic, skills, collaboration skills, and the iSTEAM integration. So this is the second tool that I'm using for, celebrating the success of each activity. And that's how we celebrate it. And that's how it is going on. I still have to improve a lot. I know that. And I have to, like, every day, as I said, it's a learning process for me. And I'm also a student sometimes in my class, where students teach me. So this is actually a give and take policy that happens in STEAM classes. So that's it as my presentation, and regarding the curriculum design. I hope this was quite informative. I mean, at least a little bit of information has been shared. I hope I have shared information to all the educationalists, because we as STEAM leads, we would like to have STEAM integration in all the schools, irrespective of the availability of space that we have. So that's it, teachers. Thanks a lot for listening to me, and I would welcome the feedbacks and suggestions and ideas from you. Good or bad, I would welcome that, because, as I said, I have to improve. I mean, it's a continuous improvement stage. So that's it, Abhilasha. Thank you so much. Thanks for the stage.
Thank you, Surya. So it was like really amazing, and to know that what you have said in the beginning, that since it's a STEAM education, so you don't look for one textbook, you look for multiple resources. So that was a very good start, and I really agree, and I really feel like this is something even I do. It's more of hands-on, and I like your amazing tools. But the best thing, what I like, that you have looked for recyclable resources as well. So you don't have to look for high-tech tools always when it comes to STEAM education. We can also have our own STEAM education and teaching and learning in our classrooms with a very, basic like cardboard, straws, or paper, or anything. I mean, the students have to be in the process of learning, and they have to learn, then they have to plan, create, build, test, modify, and the entire circle of engineering design. If they are learning anything out of it, even if they're learning from a paper, it would do. So I also vote for, low tech resources, because in many areas, in many parts of the world, we don't have enough tech to support our children. So we at Catalyst, we always look to empower those areas where we can support with this wonderful model of education with basic minimal resources. So yes, I mean, it's amazing that STEAM can be done with very less resources. The approach and the process and the outcome is more important. So that's very good. I would just like to take something from the audience. So audience, please feel free to ask any questions if you have for Surya, because once we have your questions, we will be, checking on, if anything we want to share. Otherwise, we'll move on to the next speaker. And yes, we are getting messages. It was really inspiring and refreshing from you, Surya. Thank you so much. We have shared her email in the chat. So please feel free to contact her. She'll be very happy to share her tools and her resources. And again, it's a collaboration. It's the network, and we learn from each other. So it's not just 4 speakers learning from each other. We are most welcome to learn from our audience and our participants, because they have been also doing great in terms of, teaching and learning in their classrooms. So I would then move to the other speaker. Our next speaker is Asha, and she has come with her own tool of STEAM education. So let's see what unique ideas she has to propose.
Thank you, Abhilasha. So I'll have my slides on the screen in a minute. And oh, okay. There's
I'm sorry, this happens sometimes. Like
all of
a sudden we are logged out. Log again?
Yeah, no, that's okay. So yeah, so just yeah. So, everything that Surya said, that beautiful way of the presentation, and it struck me that even the way the program is developed is very much using design thinking skills, right? And so, the thing of empathizing, and then you ideate and whatever, and then you come back, and it's always a continuous improvement. And so in that, so when you look at what we're doing here, and one of the things people talked about was the curriculum, the problems they have with the curriculum, and we have diverse pedagogies and frameworks, that we have to use. So my tool is about how we can integrate it into one system. And so as Surya had said too, that STEAM. So what is STEAM? The myriad of subjects and skills into this one acronym, right? So they've got all these subjects, so many skills within the subject. And you've got, engineering requires design thinking and technology. And then there's the science, the knowledge of science, the processes in mathematics, the analytical skills. And then how you talk about it and how you think about it and the problems that are out there in the real world. So, STEM encompasses all of that. And so then you go back to the pedagogies, which is the next slide. And here's the number of pedagogies and frameworks that we're asked to use in our classrooms, right? So there's lifelong intergenerational learning, social emotional learning, project-based learning, game-based learning, and then there's the design thinking skills that we have, for learning that, and learning dialogic techniques, which is about the 21st century skills and how they communicate with each other and how they collaborate, and so there's those things, and Surya's slide showed it very well, all the different 7 C's, that you have. So you think that, okay, there's so many pedagogies, so many frameworks. Do I have to have a different lesson for all of them? And it's no, because underlying all of them is the word learning. It's not about project-based teaching or or game-based teaching. It's the learning the underlying learning is what happens. So with all of these wonderful pedagogies and frameworks, we can integrate them all into one really powerful means of learning. And that's what my company Edify have done. It's a social enterprise. And we created this collaborative global changemaker program as a way to integrate all of these pedagogies and frameworks and to help students learn the way the brain works. And we also have a workbook that it's a 40-page workbook that guides the teams through every step along the way, including the stages of design thinking. And so, so let me explain the project to you as well, the program to you. And while I'm explaining that in the next slide, I'll talk about the pedagogies that go along with it. So in the first instance, we're really breaking down silos in the sense that instead of having students learn just from within the classroom, within their age group, they're learning across age groups. So we're starting to break down those things of learning only in your own age group. And you look at naturally kids learn from their siblings. You know, they when they play, they're watching an older sibling do something. Oh, is that how you do it? So we're bringing that into the classroom as well, the natural ways students learn. And then there's also, because this teacher in this program is the guide on the side, not the sage on the stage, as Abhilasha was saying. So the teacher then demonstrates that they too need to learn. They're learning as well from the students. Like Surya was saying, she learns from her students. And so the teacher is demonstrating that learning is lifelong. And so in this thing of having the older students and the younger students in a team, what happens is the older students, the high school, the early years of high school, they go and research the problem that they've decided on. And this project has the lens on the SDGs. So they pick an SDG issue, a problem within an SDG issue that's localized, maybe something that's local in their community. And so they decide they're going to tackle that problem. So these older students, they'll do the research on it. And there's something called the protege effect, which is that when you ask a child to learn something for the sake of doing a test, they will learn it, they will remember it, they will do reasonably well. Most of them, you know, if they remember it well, they will have a good mark. But they often forget afterwards. But if you ask a child to learn because they're going to teach somebody else, it's so different. They will do it because, that's my purpose. I've got a purpose. I'm going to teach that younger sibling. I'm going to teach that younger child. And so when they do that, they learn it well and they remember it forever because it's something that they feel good about themselves, that they did something. And talking about, neuroeducation, which is what I focused on in my master's, one of the scientists was Mary Helen Imadina Yang, and she did this neuroscience research on the way the brain learns. And she said it's embodied. She said, I feel, therefore I learn. And that's the way the brain does it. If you're not feeling what you're doing, the brain doesn't absorb things as well. It's like the amygdala just doesn't allow you to go past it. So this thing of feeling the learning, this is a purpose. I've got a purpose. I've got to help people. This is what's going to happen. So they put their research in, and I put down Minecraft as one of the games that you can use in game-based learning. But, it doesn't have to be Minecraft. It can be, anything where you can tell a story. But Minecraft I found was very good because you could program these non-playing characters in Minecraft world. And these characters can represent the people that are experiencing the problem. So you're building in that empathy side of things in that design thinking stages. And so, but it can be in a story. You can create characters in a story and do it as a little, cartoon story, however the child wants to do it. So they tell the story of the person's problem. And they also research how some people might have solved the problem, some innovative solutions. So they put that into the Minecraft world or into their story, like, paper-based, and they share it with the younger children. And in this, the younger children look at it and there's a communication required, so the children are now interacting with the older children, the younger and the older ones. So they're learning all these skills of how to collaborate, how to communicate. And dialogic techniques are when the child has this ability to clarify, please, can you clarify that? So they have a language of how to actually understand what the other person's doing. Or it's like taking turns, like someone, some kids can just take all the time. But they know, that's now it's my turn, or it's my turn. And they have like, something like even a passing a ball, have different turns. So they experience all those things in a real way because they're really solving that problem. They're coming up with ideas. And younger children, they're not restricted by, like knowledge rules in the sense, if I put it that way. the real creativity comes out, that curiosity, creativity that Surya had talked about. They come up with something like, oh, why not this? Why not that? And sometimes it can be some crazy idea, but why not? Why not? And so they'll discuss it amongst themselves and they come up with a solution. And that's that design thinking stages as well. You ideate and then you put a prototype and then you test it. So all those things are engineering skills, technology skills. But in learning all of this too, what we find is that the students, they assimilate what they've learned, right? They've tried all these different things. So this is Nirva, who's 13 years old, and she was looking at life on land. And so she started looking at the problem with water, and then how about agriculture. She's just studying quite a few different things, and also looking at ways that the rain people that had done, having to save the rainforest, what were they doing? So she had all these different things that she'd researched. And she wanted to encapsulate that into something. So she used a bit of design thinking in the sense of how she created that poster, and also her language, because, the drop and the crop, and she did some rhyming there. And then the once upon a time, because, in fairy tales, something is gone. It was in the past and it doesn't exist anymore. And she didn't want that to happen to our Mother Nature. So she expressed it in that way. And then another 13-year-old boy, who's Samyuk. So he came up with this. He was doing sustainable cities and also life underwater, and he came up with this aqua cleaner. And so you can see a lot of thinking had gone into that, and again, very much engineering and technology and the science behind it of what he thought about how it works, and also in terms of his proportions, whatever. So he was using the whole gambit of the STEAM, and he thought about, things like you have to have a net so the fish don't get killed, and, and things like that. Then you need to have a battery indicator. And where does it go? What happens? And there's got a collector for that. So, this is one thought he had, and he put it down. He put a sketch down. Of course, he couldn't have the time to build it, but like Surya was saying, you can just have, recycle things. You can have plastic bottles and whatever. He could actually have built this if there was more time in the classroom. And it doesn't need a lot of technology, whatever. He just did it on a sketch on paper, and then that could have been done with anything, with rubber bands, like Surya was saying. So, this sort of program can be done in Surya's program. You have to think, what kind of activities can you do? And so, in this, you can see that the children just had a wonderful time. They enjoyed it, and they had engagement. They were, very much motivated, and that confidence of speaking and relating to each other. So, and the diagram, you see how it's the opposite of the one that's behind me, right? The one behind me is like the old way of doing. We give them in small bits, one subject at a time, and we expect them to branch off and give us diverse answers, or solutions to diverse problems. But instead, oh, hang on, it didn't flip. Oh, that's okay. I should have flipped it. The other way, okay, now you got to flip yourself and imagine that the learning came in the rainbow way, and it went into their brains and came out as one stream of knowledge that they've created for themselves. And that is that light of knowledge that you have. You want children to just know something and know that they have the skills to tackle anything that's out there. And so that's my program, and these are my contact details if you want to get in touch with me and find out anything more about that. And happy to for you to put some questions in, or and I can deal with that. I think the time at the moment might not be so good, so if you send me some questions, I'll be happy to answer them in an email to you. Thank you very much. And that Talini, we pass it on to Talini as well, who's going to tell you about the whole school thing, which I'm so excited to hear about. So back to you, Abhilasha.
All right. Thank you so much, Asha. And yeah, you reminded me about your background. I mean, I should really say, this is the background. This explains your way of teaching and learning to your students. And this is amazing. I mean, what we see behind you is what you have been doing with your students. And that's amazing. I just want to welcome audience to, ask their questions through chat, and anytime we'll be very happy to answer. You can write an email to Asha. But a few things I want to just tell about Asha's presentation and her. The best idea is how you are integrating the pedagogies, different pedagogies, and you're adding them to a rainbow experience, and you are making the kids learn the way the brain learns. And that's amazing, because that makes me think about Leonardo da Vinci's quote, if you've heard about it, to develop a complete mind, learn how to see. And I would add the element of feel as well, learn how to see and feel, realize that everything connects to everything else. So this integrated model of teaching and learning is amazing. And I have made a couple of notes to, just to highlight, because maybe audience want to hear this more about this. So your collaborative global changemaker program is really amazing. The 6 steps, and the best part, what I have taken from that program is how the seniors team up with juniors. So the best learning happens with some kind of peer kind of teaching and peer learning. This is amazing. Then what I liked was that one of the student, Nirva, how she came up with her own idea to tackle SDGs, and the drop harvested is the crop harvested. That's superb. I mean, they are the real change makers, and they have been doing great in terms of tackling SDGs. So they should be part of Catalyst 2030 as well. And one thing which I really liked about your way of teaching and learning in your presentation is that you have shifted from teaching to learning. So in your opinion, and I mean, most of us who think in a very progressive way, we teachers, we are learners. So we keep our students as leaders. So that's how we work with our students. So we learn so that our so our students lead, and that's how we look for. So these are the few points, and thank you so much. So I would pass it on to Thelini now, and let's hear to what amazing things she has to share.
Hello, thank you, Abhi. Thank you, Asha, Surya. Amazing, very inspiring sessions from both of you. So yes, let me share the screen. All right. So I think it's okay, right? You can, everyone can see, yeah? All good? All right. Okay. So let me bring out your attention. Why are we here? We are here to find solutions collaboratively to one of the most commonly asked questions these days. How can we make sure that our next generation of children has a healthy planet to live on? This is what one of the problems that we have. What are we going to leave our kids with? So how we are going to work collaboratively to find problems and find solutions for those. So as Abhilasha said earlier, education is currently playing a massive role by providing the education for sustainability. And when you say education for sustainability, now you have already got an idea, like it is not considered just as an individual subject, but a comprehensive one which spread across the entire school system. So what is this whole school approach to learning sustainability? It is a holistic approach which involves integrating sustainability skills, values, and attributes into all aspects of school. So you will, when I say, I would like to emphasize on the word all aspects of school life, and which that will create a mindset of sustainability into the entire school culture. Now, we have to emphasize that it is not, as I already said, it's not an individual subject or an issue, but a cross-cutting theme that can be integrated into various subjects, areas such as STEM, for example. Now, here, okay. Yes, this is very interesting, very colorful. So I have the WSA flower model over here, and we have 6 key principles. I am actually looking at this as a tool and a guide on how to develop sustainability in a school context. So we will see, I don't want to explain each of these individually, but I want to see how we are going to practically implement these 6 principles within our context. I have aligned each of these elements together because they are pretty much, I find there is a relationship, there is a link between these, each of these elements. So I have taken the ones that I feel related to each other, I have kept together. Now, what is our aim? Our aim should be to implant sustainability into daily practices of the school. Having said to that, the school must establish a vision which join with sustainability values and attributes, and that will help to create and establish the culture and ethos aligning with that vision. Then another thing is like the policies that we have, in schools, we have policies and action plans, goals and targets, but these must be developed with the aligned vision, that is that in terms of sustainability, how you can create policy which is surrounded by sustainability skills and attributes. So we have to think about in that aspects how we are going to improve our policies within the school. And it is very important, if you look at the last point, establish a sustainability committee. I think it is very important to have a group of people or a committee that are there to drive this vision with you, with the goals and targets, everything we need some group of people to drive that in the school. Then comes the most interesting part, curriculum and pedagogy. And I kept these two again because it goes very well hand in hand. And you already got the ideas from Asha and Surya, how these lesson plans, how this curriculum development actually and the pedagogy happens in such a context. But here, so rather than going into much of that area, what I would like to emphasize mainly here is the pedagogy shift to support such curriculum which foster interdisciplinary and experiential learning. We have heard how students learn through experience. You have to feel it. You have to give that feeling to them. So your pedagogy, the curriculum, everything should be aligned with those interdisciplinary and the experiential learning to foster those 2 aspects. And again, another area is we have to come out from this traditional teaching and foster or involve a lot of student-centered approach, problem solving, inquiry-based learning approach. So this is where they actually start to think critically. They are becoming innovative and creative. And again, if I move to the next one, we have the curriculum, amazing curriculum, yes, designed, and we are thinking about the pedagogy shift. But if we don't have the proper resource to deliver it right to the students, that is also another area that we are lacking. So we have to focus on that as well. So how this design curriculum and pedagogy will be given out to the children. So we need to provide the staff with knowledge and skills required in sustainability education and practices. Trainings, we have trainings, workshops, they are pretty much very important that you involve your staff members. I think most importantly, Surya highlighted this. We all are learning. We all are learning. It's a continuous process. So we can't just give a training and set aside, no, it has to be culture of continuous learning. It has to develop. We have to foster that attitude within our institute, or we as teachers, we know what is CPD is, continuous professional development. So this has to be continuously done. So if we want to we have to keep providing them with the knowledge and skills. So you can't just give them, okay, I'm done, that's it. No, it should not be done like that. It should be a continuous process. And obviously now we know that we can't do all of this alone. We need, it is a collective effort. So we need support from the wider community around us. Therefore, it needs to, we must make effort to build effective partnerships with local business experts, parents, of course, and families, because that is also very important to involve those stakeholders also into this approach. Then, this is one of my favorite. Here I have given you an example of WSA practice, and of course there are many more. But for example, TAS, their vision is to have all schools everywhere with sustainable buses, sustainable school buildings, sustainable food, and sustainable uniforms. And you can clearly see over here that how they have contributed their efforts across these 5 areas with the focus of SDGs. So they have clearly displayed their policies, their goals, their targets. So this is a very good example to get an idea, as well as I said, there are so many other case studies that we have. You can read and get inspired. Yes, now all these things, it sounds a lot. Definitely, it sounds a lot. How are we going to initiate such approach? But I truly believe what is important is that you take a small step every day, one step at a time. So over here, how you can start your journey towards developing sustainability skills and attributes within your context. So it's very straightforward how I have given. We've already spoke about building awareness, building team or committee, developing a sustainability policy, allocate resources. As Surya said, you don't have to have fancy high-tech resources, so you have to use whatever your resources in such an efficient effective manner. So I think that is very important. And of course, engage with your stakeholders and build partnership. There are so many people that think the same way. So you have to establish a good relationship with these people. And I have given some of the resources I am reading currently, because I'm also at the process of initiating such program. So I have so many resources currently I'm reading. So one of these resources, some of the resources I have listed over here for you to refer as well. So last but not least, the illustration by UNESCO pretty much tell us how we can infuse sustainability skills, values, and attributes that we all spoke about into everyone's DNA. So it should be inside us, inside ourselves, within the school, which is from buildings to the entire surrounding of the schools. And I want to conclude my presentation with something that was told by a very enthusiastic, energetic STEM speaker, Candice Simmons, that I met at the STEM Summit in Qatar recently. He said, we as educators need to adapt to the new approach of learning, which is by making sure before children learn, let them live in it and experience it. Once they feel what they live in within, they will fall in love. Then they have the interest to learn. I think what Asha said, what Surya said, everything they emphasize on this experiential and experience. They have to make sense of what they are learning. So let us move towards this new approach, live it, love it, and then learn it. So let the journey begin, and all the very best to you all. And please do let me know your feedback. As I said, it's a continuous learning process. I'm also still learning, and I would love to hear from you, your thoughts, your feedbacks, your positives and negatives, so that it will help to improve my journey, as well as I would love to contribute to your journey as well. So all the very best. Thank you. Over to you, Abhi.
Thank you so much, Thelini. And thank you for the amazing thoughts on, one of my favorite topic. Yes, of course, I do talk a lot about STEAM education, but then I do find ways how to integrate STEAM education to tackle the sustainable issues, and how can we make the best use of this STEAM education to, to work towards the sustainable development goals. And I really liked your chart about the whole school approach. And I know the mission and the vision sits in the heart of the chart, because you have to start from here. So when you have this kind of chart as a framework or as a guiding chart for the school leaders to work on, they know that they need to bring real changes to their school's policies, mission and vision, because when they change those, then automatically, and they have to work towards changing the school culture, curriculum, pedagogy, teacher training, and they have to find ways how to extend their learning by making partnerships with the community. So this whole thing is entirely connected. I mean, we need to start changing from top to bottom in the school's policies and in the frameworks. So then we can work towards changing the pedagogy. And I liked something which is very interesting to me, and again, it sounds like rainbow experience to me, that you look for interdisciplinary approaches, and then you take those. So this is how you teach, and then you take those experiences, what students take through those interdisciplinary teaching, and learning, and then they go out and then they try and explore that experiential learning, what you have been talking. So this is amazing. One good thing which you have touched, and which is something very, very important for us to, as educators, to think deep, is about how do we look into teacher training. So what we are looking forward is to have a very strong, a framework for pre-service teacher training, so that we can add STEAM education for sustainable development kind of model to train our teachers who are currently in their College of Education, for example. So this is highly needed. It's not just a normal kind of teacher training education. We want to revamp, and we want to bring a different approach to their teacher training modules. So whatever they learn, it will empower them to come and work towards this progressive model of education. So the teacher training is something very, very important. This is for the pre-service teachers. For the in-service teachers, what we need to give them continuous professional development, and that's how we can help them out. So these two things also you have addressed, and I mean, that was really amazing, that how you have addressed changes from top to bottom, and how you want the whole school to come up with their education for sustainable development model. So I wish the participants take something out of this, and they work with similar approaches, and they can try their own approaches as well. And one most important thing is that, whatever fits your needs, the needs of your learners. If you are in a country, say for Sri Lanka, for India, the needs of the learners will be different than if you are in a country, say Australia or USA, or, so you need to look for the needs of your learners. And based on that, you need to have your STEAM teaching modules and, such kind of model. That's very important for us to look into. So are you all set to create a rainbow experience for your children or for your students? So this is the thing, I mean, we really need to look into, and we really need to think again about what all we have been doing in our classroom, and how can I change a bit of those teaching and learning practices to try to give some kind of meaningful and holistic experiences to our children. So whatever we are teaching, it should make sense to those kids. So these are the new generation kids, and they are going to be the problem solvers of tomorrow. So are you teaching those kids that way? So if you are doing that, that is the rainbow experience you have been creating in your classrooms. So with such experiences, your students are deeply engaged, and they're always working, they're actively thinking, participating, they're very creatively working with each other. It's like collaboration all the time, and they learn a lot of skills, as what one of the speaker, I think Asha, you had said that about public speaking. Yes, they do learn a lot about communication. So such kind of experiences are very, very, very important for those kids, and these experiences, they have a lasting impact on their lives. It's fun, and it's very interesting for them. So they become lifelong learners, and when they get up in the morning, they want to come to your classroom. They don't want to run away from that particular lesson. So we want our kids to come to our classroom out of their passion, out of their, eagerness and the curiosity, so that they will be drawn to your classroom. Some recommendations from me and from the speakers based on what we have been looking into a holistic and transformational education, because this is the model of education we are proposing. It doesn't just address one part. So it addresses the content, outcomes, pedagogy, and the learning environment. So it's a holistic approach to education. So we are here to transform education at all levels. We are also recommending to co-create SDG-driven thematic STEAM curriculum in partnership with the community, because that's very, very important. So what is the local community in Qatar? I need to partnership with that community to help my students learn about the issues of Qatar. So we need to engage all the social entrepreneurs, educators, youth, and the community members around us when we are creating such a curriculum. That's very, very important. But again, the most important thing is that through this kind of approach, you are empowering the youth to become sustainability change makers, because you are equipping them with knowledge, skills, attitudes, values, and competencies to promote sustainable development, so that they will be the problem solvers of tomorrow. You can also give your poll, and you can scan it, because this is the question I want the audience to let me know. What do they think about the best teaching and learning approaches in STEAM education? If they are science and math teachers, they are most welcome to participate. If they are STEAM teachers also, and even the school leaders. So what do they think are the best teaching and learning approaches when it comes to STEAM education? So here we are talking about the interdisciplinary and the transdisciplinary form of education. So please feel free to scan, and you can write your ideas, and you can share your perspectives, and it comes as a word cloud for us, and I'll be very happy to share with you. Since we are running in short of time, so I would reach to the last and the most interesting slide, which I really wanted to share with you. Education should be like Jackson Pollock's painting: messy, integrated, interesting, abstract, creative, engaging, rich, and invigorating. So I mean, I don't know. There's not a single word left which I want to add more, but maybe our speakers are here, so they would say something about what they want to add to this kind of approach to education, that everything is integrated, everyone is learning, everyone is exploring, and it's fun-filled, it's interesting, it's engaging, and it's for all of our children. So I would like to take final thoughts from our speakers to what do they think about the STEAM education approach, and how do they feel that they will ask the participants to move forward with something that they want to suggest. Asha, would you like to say something?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Abhilash. No, lovely, example with Jackson Pollock. And so I would also put thought-provoking, so, that almost like critical thinking, like, what is he doing? What is he trying to tell us? And something like this, so abstract, is what can provoke children, and this is why that openness of the curriculum, when you bring it that way, it's not like you must learn this and we will test it at the end. It's like, here's something, and you go and find what information you need in order to solve it. So it's almost like looking at this picture and coming up with whatever you think it says. So, so one child will say, oh, it looks like this, and another child will say it looks like that, and all of them are right. So, so it's that sort of thing, So yeah, I would love, people to try something like all the different tools that have been presented today in their schools, and yeah, reach out to any of us for any particular support you need with any of those programs, or you want more information. So please do, and you've got our details, and you should get a recording of this as well, so you can go through some of these again if you've missed anything. So yeah, that's my little, and I'll pass on to Thalini if you have some.
Yes, Thalini. Yeah, your final thoughts on what you
Yes.
want to give it to the audience, something what they can take it now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this amazing picture, and I think, oh, it's really messy. It's so complicated sometimes to understand what exactly is being given out. It's the same like in our context, like it's huge, it's massive. It's very complicated, so many challenges, I do understand, but we have to start from somewhere, start from somewhere, and then you will start you building your puzzles, and it will make sense, it will develop into that beautiful picture, just like this, it's colorful and vibrant, and it's fine, it can be messy, that's totally fine. So, but you have to start from somewhere. So, and we should able to make ourselves work so hard to create that aha moments, like children will say when they really understand, aha, that moment, So we have to make an effort like this picture, So somebody, as Asha said, somebody will say this, somebody will say that, and one child will say, aha, yes, that's true, It starts to make that sense actually. So let us do that, let's start from somewhere, don't think about so many things, don't, because things will not, everything will not align, I mean, it will not, things will not be perfect before starting. So you have to start from somewhere. That is what I am doing. So it will eventually, you will see the bigger picture, just like the rainbow, And yes, all the very best to all those audience, whoever in their journeys. So we all are taking different paths, but eventually our goal, our objective is the same. We all want to achieve something similar together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, speakers, and thank you, wonderful audience. And please reach out to us. You have our emails. So please drop in an email if you need some suggestions, some tools, or whatever, in whichever way we can help you out. Thank you, Gufran, for being there and for pulling me into this platform. And I really appreciate that. So if you would like to hear a last word from you.
I really appreciated all of the experiences that you shared, and I'm looking forward to having it adding up to a collaboration that can really change the systems, like the education systems, because the problems that you're solving are cross-regional. It's not specific to a specific country or a specific region. So I'm really looking forward.
Thank you so much. We are all on board for a new change. We are all looking for transformation. Maybe the ways we work will be different because the regions which we deal with. But end of the day, it's all for one movement, and we are all towards catalyzing, the transformation in education and through education, and we are trying to tackle the SDGs. And thank you so much. So here is my contact. Thank you, audience, and I really look forward to see you again. Thank you, speakers. Thank you, Asha, Thelini. Thank you, Surya. She had to leave because she was running late for another event. And thank you, Gufran. And see you all again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.